Hello and welcome back to the eggplant functional video training series. Today we are going to talk to you about cross-browser testing. Now, some of the questions that come up when you do cross-browser testing are: when do I use images? When do I use OCR? When do I use image collections? And we're going to cover off all of those things today. So let's go ahead and start with OCR and when we should use it. Well, for cross-browser testing, OCR should be used whenever you're going to be interacting with some text on the screen. The reason OCR is very useful is because it's completely independent of text font, text size, and text color. So if these things might change slightly from browser to browser, OCR is a really robust way of getting a single line of code to run across multiple browsers. Browsers can also render text differently in terms of the way they might go and smooth out the sides of the text, and so again, OCR is a really good use for text. So let's go and show you how this works. So let me go and make this slightly larger for you now on screen. You can see here we've got some text here. Let's say, for example, today's deals. Well, I can just go ahead and run this line of code here that just goes ahead and waits for that text to appear on screen, and you can see there we've gone and found it. Now, of course, there I'm searching text throughout the whole screen. But what I can actually do is go and set a search rectangle to go and reduce the area that the OCR has to search over. This has two benefits. It speeds up the search, and it also means that I can go and say, just look at a certain area of screen if I know that I've got multiple instances of the same text on screen and I just want to focus on one area. I've created a small function here called rectangle set, which lets me pass in a top left pair of coordinates and a bottom right pair of coordinates. What it means is that I'm going to be multiplying the width of the screen by 0 in this case for my top left, and the height by 0, so it's literally going to be up here on the top left. But then for the bottom right y coordinates, I'm going to be saying having 0.3, so it's only going to go a third of the way down the screen, and the x coordinate is just going to be the full width. So in a moment when I run this line of code, you'll see that there'll be a yellow line drawn across the screen, and eggplant will only be searching in the top half. So if I go run this line now, you can see the yellow line that appears, and we wait for the text and it's found. So instead of taking 3 seconds to find it, we only take 1. And the big advantages that I can do here is I can run the same line of code now and go and run it against Firefox. You can see that it finds it, and I can run the next bit and go run it against an Explorer, and it goes ahead and finds it. So OCR is really useful for interacting with text across multiple web browsers. So now I want to go and show you when you should go ahead and use images. Well, you should use images for anything on screen that isn't text, and this way you'll be able to use a single image across multiple browsers, because, in general, images are rendered exactly the same from one browser to the other. It really is only the text across browsers that is actually rendered any differently. So let me go and show you how this works. So let's go, say, to our image check script here, and I've got a very simple script where I've captured a single image of the search glass that you see here. Now if I go run this against, say, IE, as I am now, I can go and wait for that image, and you can see there that it's found on IE. I can then go and run that same line against Firefox, wait for that, we can see that that is found on Firefox. And then finally I can do exactly the same for Chrome, wait for that image, and we can see that it's found on Chrome. So very simply, by capturing images of stuff that doesn't have text in it, makes it very easy to go and use across multiple browsers. Now there are times when you'll need to go ahead and create what we call an image collection. And what an image collection is a folder of images where each image looks very different. So I've picked an example here of the refresh button. You can see here that the refresh button across the 3 browsers is of course very different. But then if I have a folder, I can just go and reference this folder. Maybe I'll go and wait for an image. So I can go say wait for 20 refresh. And now I've got an image of the Chrome refresh button, the Firefox refresh button, and the Internet Explorer refresh button in there. And when I go run this, you can see it finds the refresh button here on Chrome. We go find it over here on Firefox, and we go find it over on the right on IE. So what that means is that I don't need to write separate code if I've got images which do look very different across the different browsers. So you should use image collections when there are images that are bespoke to the browser, and most likely things are things like the refresh button, home button, and the back button, which you might want to go and use as part of your test. So now I want to go ahead and talk about some of the really useful functions that you can go and use to make it even easier for you to go and do cross-browser testing. The first of these that I want to open here is one I've called Open Desktop Browser. What I've done here is I've added a single parameter in here that lets me pass in the browser name, and then what I'm doing is I'm opening up the run window. You can see there we open up the run window, and then I'm going to go ahead and type in the browser that I've passed into this function, hit return, and then wait for the refresh button to appear. So let me go and show you this in action. Let me just go and shut down all my browsers first. And let's go do that. So let me just create myself a little script here to go and run this from. And all I've got to do is pass in Open Desktop Browser. And let's say, for example, we want to open Chrome. I can go run that now. And then we go ahead and, as you can see there, open the Chrome browser. Just makes it really easy for me to create a single function for me to go and open any browser that I like. The second really useful function is enter URL. Very similar to Open Browser, I pass in a single parameter, but then I use the Control key L command to go and bring the focus into the URL bar, type the URL, hit return, and wait for the page to load. So this means that I can very easily go and navigate to any page I like within a test. So let's, for example, now say we go and drag that in, and then we go and enter the URL we want to go to. So let's say Amazon.com. I can then go run that line, and it goes and runs that code and enters in Amazon.com, and we can see there that it has loaded. So very simple for you to go and open a browser, and very simple for you to go and enter URL. The final one, which is literally just a single line, where I just do type text Alt key F4, and that's a Windows shortcut to go and shut the browser down. So if I go run this now, you can see we go ahead and shut the browser. So let's go see all of this in action now across all three browsers. So you can see inside this script here, I just say repeat with each item my browser of, and then just pass in the list of browsers. We then go and open the browser that we're on. So on the first iteration, we'll open Chrome. Second iteration, we'll open Firefox. And third iteration, we'll open Internet Explorer. We then open the browser, enter the URL, search for an item on Amazon, and then we go and close the browser down. So let's go run that. So you can see, first of all, we go and run against Chrome. We go ahead and enter the URL in. We go ahead and wait for some text on screen. You can see the rectangle that I've set. Here, we're just looking at the top half. We're waiting for the text results for, and then we shut the browser down, and now we go ahead and run against Firefox. So you can see now, using all the techniques that I've shown, 1, using OCR for text, 2, setting search rectangles when we're using OCR, 3, using images for anything that isn't text, and finally 4, using some of the really useful functions to go and make it even easier for you to go and open browsers, shut them down, and enter URLs, how easy it can be to go and create a cross-browser test that is simple to create and easy to maintain. I hope people have found that useful today, and if you have any further questions, please just email us at support@testplan.com. Thanks for watching.